Alright, I'm saying it right now. As of now, I think this is my number one movie of this year. Coco blew me away. I did not expect that this movie would be this amazing in terms of visually, in terms of the characters, in terms of the story, in terms of everything in this movie. Now, this is a really, really great Pixar movie, and I really love how we got two quote unquote duds, Pixar duds, in which they weren't unique or creative, but they were visually cool, like Cars 3 and The Good Dinosaur. Pixar is always good at the visuals, even if some of the movies aren't great, like those two. But coming back to this type of quality in terms of uniqueness and creativity, the last one we got, in my opinion, was Inside Out, which was my favorite movie of 2015. Like, that movie got me emotionally and got me on every level of everything I wanted in a movie. Like, seriously, every single thing I wanted in a film was in that movie. And this is another film that I feel exactly the same way, where I was given everything I wanted in this movie. I felt every emotion. I loved the writing. I loved the visuals. I loved all the characters. I loved all the twists and turns. I loved how they use cliches but turn them on their heads in this movie. And this will be my spoiler-free video, but I'll do a spoiler video as well, because I can't not talk about what happens in this movie. But I've got to say, just in terms of all those things I mentioned, this is one of Pixar's best. And that's really hard to say, because we've got so many great Pixar movies. Like, it's really hard to rank them now, because we just keep getting amazing ones, but then some subpar ones, like the last two. So that's also another reason why I love this so much, is because quality-wise, we got such an amazing return to form, which is only a couple years ago that they had a really great one, but it's not bad whenever we get okay ones, but it's just, I love when we get the amazing ones. I really do. And I thought that, like I said, with emotion, this film very well plays with emotion, with characters, with where you're supposed to be in your family, with all your family members, and how in this movie the character Miguel is wanting to be a musician because of the great Ernesto de la Cruz, who is this singer actor who Miguel looks up to. And I really loved how he wants to be a musician, but his parents don't want him to. And his family doesn't want him to. He wants to play music, but they don't want to do it for reasons. And I really, really loved his character growth and progression throughout the movie, Miguel. Because, like I said, without spoiling it, there are twists and turns, and this character learns a lot of things along the way. And not in a typical way. And I think that the way that he does grow as a character, and everybody else, even if they're side characters, grow around him, it works really well. And there are so many layers to all of these characters. And saying that for a quote unquote cartoon movie, or cartoon film, kids film, it's not like that, I don't think. And that's what I love about Pixar, is that besides like the Cars movies and The Good Dinosaur, these movies, almost for the most part, are always clever and unique in terms of being for kids and adults. And this is a great example of that, because it felt like how smartly they made it. It's something that an adult can look forward to watching this movie, because you look at how these cliches you've seen a million times as you've grown up from being a kid, and then you see how they play it in these kind of movies like this one, where they throw you on top of your head and give you more twists that you don't expect from these typical cliches. And I really love that too. I think that really is such an amazing accomplishment. And this came from Lee Unkrich, who directed Toy Story 3, which is one of my, literally, it might be my favorite movie ever. It's one of my favorites. I don't know if I could say it's my favorite movie ever, but it's one of the couple. Emotionally, that movie got me, just in terms of the how the movie resolved the characters and how just well done that movie was in terms of everything. And this movie again is no exception. It's a great another film from Lee Unkrich, but Adrian Molino is also the co-director of this. But these two directors in this movie did a fantastic job. Everything I think is hands down some of the best visuals I've seen all year, some of the best and interesting characters and twists of the year I've seen so far. And how, like I said, they do turn all these cliches on their heads with these characters and with the story and with how everything. I love how in Pixar movies they don't always sugarcoat everything, and they do and they don't in a way, and that doesn't really make sense me saying it now if you haven't seen the movie. But whenever you see it, you'll understand, and it's not a bad thing. It's definitely not. I'm not finding a problem with this. I'm just saying that I like how they have moments where you could sugarcoat them and make it feel less real, but I love how real they make this story and make these characters and make them progress from instead of having the quote unquote happy ending. It's like you've got to have sacrifices, you've got to have interesting turns and twists, and I think that it works really well with this movie, like so much so that this is my favorite movie of the year now. I think that it is fantastic and it deserves hopefully all the praise that audiences will give it, because critics are loving it. I'm glad for that. So hopefully that'll get audiences to go with it, because there's a lot of people now who won't go to movies if they have bad ratings, like a Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm glad that this is really considered good by critics. So hopefully this movie will do great. And it's a Pixar movie anyways, and it's a movie that came out on Thanksgiving week, so it's gonna probably do good. But I'm still flabbergasted at how they do this so many times, like Pixar, how many times they've done this in these films. Whenever they're good, they are outstandingly good in a way that it's hard to even fathom how good they are. Like, I don't even know, like, it's so hard to even think about it. And I watched it last night and I sat on it and slept on it and thought, is this really as good as it is? And I seriously still think, yes, it is. It is still that good. It is still that fantastic. But man, I love this movie so much. I am so glad that we got another Pixar classic, and the quote unquote slump that we had in the past 2 years with the two okay Pixar movies. That weren't insulting, but just were like, okay, that's just something. It was just a movie. Those two were movies. They didn't have anything clever, but they were visually cool. But I love how this has all the great attributes to it instead of just visuals. So, man, I love this movie so much. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Go see this right now. Go support this movie. It's also an original idea, too, in terms of it's not a sequel, a Pixar sequel, or it is an original idea, and I really like that. I like that it is original, and hopefully it will do well, and it is something that I will not remember, or well, I will not forget, I should say. But thanks guys so much for watching. Check out my other stuff, and I'll talk to you next time.